This is Blair Durham with BlackWallStreet Today, your media hub for all things Black business and related news, strategy, and events.
Here on Black Wall Street Today, we're always interviewing the most innovative, most creative, and hardest working Black entrepreneurs in Hampton Roads, and today is no different. Charisse Josie is a leadership consultant, licensed therapist, speaker, and author. She's been featured in media outlets from Essence and Yahoo to Cosmopolitan. Charisse works with ambitious, goal-focused women who want to improve their communication in their professional and personal life to save time, have more peace, and of course, increase their income. Charisse has been featured in many media outlets and on business talk radio, as well as multiple podcasts. And now she can add Black Wall Street Today on Hot 91 to that lengthy resume. Welcome, Charisse. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're glad to have you. So, explain a little bit about what that means. You work with ambitious, goal-focused women to improve their professional and personal communication. Can you break this down into simpler terms for the listening audience?
Sure. I was one of those people who did all the right things. I went to college, undergrad, I went to grad school, and then somewhere in there I was supposed to find a husband. Didn't happen. That's okay. I'm ambitious. I'm still going to keep moving. I went to the career force, and I was checking all these boxes in life, but I wasn't living life. Mm-hmm. And I was going to church, and I'm there in my heels and my dress and looking nice, and we would do a prayer request, and women would stand up, and they would say something really challenging that they're going through, and they would ask the church for prayer. But as soon as they finished and they sat down, they were smiling, they were hugging, God bless you, how's your week? And I'm thinking, I know you just said that you were going through something. Mm-hmm. And as I'm listening to them, I'm in my seat thinking, I'm going through something. I don't know your story. You don't know my story. But one thing I know for sure is that we have a story. Mm. And so I started to create a space for women who normally will not share because there's no space to share. Let's start having some hard conversations. Let's let our secret out. What are we actually struggling with? What are those things that's coming up at nighttime? And so I started a women's wellness workshop at my church. And I learned so much about church members that I've been sitting with for years. Mm-hmm. And from there, someone put on their form and they said, hey, do you have a private practice? And I didn't at the time. But I said, if I ever did this again, I will create a space for women to follow up of what they're getting in a group setting individually. And that's how my business was born.
Wow, that's incredible. So are you helping with communication skills? Are you helping with identifying trauma? Are you helping with mental health? What's exactly your target here when helping these women?
Yeah, good question. Here's the thing is that we're complex, yes. Right? We are complex, but we think that we're so linear. We think it's always just one thing I need help with, right? Just help me with this one thing. I'm like, sure. But here's the thing, if we're so ambitious, and I'm saying we're women, but men too, right? If we're ambitious, we think it's one area of life that we're having issues with. I'm having issues on my job, I'm having issues with my kids, I'm having issues in relationships. But the core of all of that is us. And we are complex people, right? So while I might be strength and have this great skills in one area, I might struggle in other areas. But guess the part I'm going to keep hidden? The part that I'm struggling with? Mm-hmm. I'm going to shine. So I might say, hey, help me get to this next goal in my business. But what may be holding me back is something in my childhood that I haven't addressed, right? I was a responsible child. Have I dealt with if I have failure? Now, if you're in business, you know you're going to have a lot of bumps, bruises, cries, failures, setback, right?
Yeah.
Have I been positioned to deal with those setbacks? Have I been positioned to deal with those failures? Remember, I followed the script. And really, it was easy, right? School tells you where to be, what time, when assignments are due. But when you're left out there, you're left out by yourself in a sense, yes. Right? And so I had to learn that area of life. And I realized that people are coming to me wanting to follow that same script. Tell me what to do. I said, but let's explore, because there's more about life in you that we need to be more curious about. And I love getting women and women leaders to discover parts of themselves that they didn't even know was there. And they get these aha moments. And they say, oh, I thought I just need to know this to get me forward. I didn't know I had to go around the bend, down the hill, up the hill, right? Tired for a second, take a break. Now I can get to my destination. That's the journey we kind of go through together.
Wow. So you mentioned that you deal with women in leadership. Can you talk about the connection there, how maybe the mental health or trauma or things we haven't dealt with about our childhood, how or if that even affects our leadership and effectiveness today?
Yeah, absolutely. So my first job supervising, I thought I was a great supervisor, but honestly, I was a horrible supervisor looking back, right? Because my thing was goal-focused problem solving, right? The work had to get done. This is the way. I was great with implementing systems and processes, but the part that I wasn't good at was building relationships. Because relationships didn't have a stopping into it. So I didn't know how to do it, so I didn't lean into that part. So I was so heavy on the systems and processes that people didn't feel supported. They didn't feel wanted. They knew I could get the job done, but it wasn't good for a great atmosphere. And so I had to take a step back, and what I realized is that I was doing the same thing in my personal relationships, family, friends, any of those relationships, that I'm still having this goal-focused approach. And I didn't know it. I felt in the moment I was being present and I'm doing all the things I was supposed to do. But isn't that the same thought I had when I was in school, right? I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to do. I said, I have to learn to step outside of my comfort zone and do something different. So everything that I said I wouldn't do, I went on this journey about 2 years of doing everything that was completely uncomfortable for me. So I said, I'm an introvert. I don't speak in public. Well, first, today I'm on the radio, right? So I worked through that, right? Yeah. But I joined a direct selling company. I'm not a salesperson, but because I said I wasn't, that's exactly what I needed to do. Wow. It allowed me the opportunity to meet people, to network, to talk in front of people. Groupon was my friend. I would look on Groupon and find all different types of things that I can just explore and be creative with. And I would do them by myself. Because I was learning that I was keeping friends as a crutch, too. They were in my ear with their opinions and their advice. If I say, hey, do you want to go to this event with me? I have their energy and my energy mix. I couldn't separate the two. So the conscious decision was to do things by myself, right? So how we are in our personal relationship is how we are in our professional relationships. And I know those people think, say, no, I'm super professional. I can separate the two. But if you are an authentic person with moral ethics, you are incapable of separating the two, even if you want to. Wow. They're going to blend together. We cannot isolate and separate who you are as a character. It's going to blend.
Yeah, can you dive into that a little bit more? Because some of these things that you're talking about, I feel like you're talking directly to me. Number one, my leadership style is definitely goal-focused, system-focused, and that is where 90% of the focus is solving the problem, moving forward. And that I also see that within my personal relationships too. And also I feel like I am a person who can compartmentalize different parts of my life. Tell me what I may be overlooking there as I'm imagining that I'm compartmentalizing everything into their neat little boxes.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you said that, because it's good self-awareness. Here's the thing. There's one thing that every car has, no matter its make or model. Every car has a blind spot. Right? Everyone has a blind spot. And how you know that you're building relationship is that you're willing to, one, acknowledge to say, I have a blind spot. And two, can I build a relationship of saying, let me know what I don't know. Right? So if we're in professional life, I'm leading a team, I want to start, I have my agenda, right? I have my agenda, but I'm always going to make sure I check in anything that I'm missing. Let me know, because you all are on the front lines. Let me know that I'm missing, right? So I'm going to go through my agenda. I will start 10%. The meeting will be mine, right? The middle part is going to be the team. What am I missing? But the last part is mine. I have the final say, right? But there might be some blind spots I need to know. Guess what I need to do in my relationships? I need to check my blind spots. It's not going to change just because I'm ambitious, right? If I'm a parent, I need to check in with my children. Was I raised that way? My parents checking in with me about my feelings? No, they won't check in about nothing about my feelings, right? So that might be a blind spot for me to say, hey, I wasn't raised like that. But I need to ask my children and check in periodically about where you're at and just listen, right? Same thing in my relationship. Am I checking in to say, what do you need? Where am I not missing? And I also need to acknowledge, you know what? I know I'm falling short in this area. I know this is not a strength of mine, right? But acknowledging the blind spot takes away the secret. It also lessens our defenses. It makes us more engaging. It makes us more open to give and receive relationships. But if we are so protective of that spot, nothing can get in, but nothing can get out either.
Wow. I feel like we are having a therapy session right here live on air. Yeah, you are speaking directly to me. But now let's speak directly to the listeners.
Yes.
One thing that I try to get out of every Black Wall Street Today interview are some practical steps. We're going to talk a lot about concept and big picture, but I want every listener to be able to take some practical steps home and actually apply it. So could you give maybe 3 key components that every professional needs to effectively manage their time and their peace?
I think one thing that you definitely need is to trust your own voice. There's a lot of coaching out here, effective coaching and everything in between. There's a lot of resources. Black Brown is an awesome resource. But we also have to make sure that we're taking some time to hear our own voice. So as you're getting guidance, as you're networking, you're building, don't let your goal get too far away from who you are. So when I say hear your own voice, sit down and let's see, what is your body telling you? I'm overwhelmed with this. You know what? I remember this person said this, but then someone else said the complete opposite. What is it that I want to do, right? And I want you to also be okay with getting it wrong. You will mess it up. Let's start. You will mess it up all the way through, but this is the things that you know that you tried and you listened to your voice. And now when you go back to these support systems, coaches, and different support that we have out there, now you can ask more specific targeted questions because you know where your area of improvement needs to be, right? So you need to be able to listen to our own voice is one thing.
Yeah, and I feel that to my bones because every time I can think of a place where I had a major blunder, it was a moment where I was ignoring my true instinct and going with something else. Yeah, absolutely. So you are a licensed therapist, but you're also a successful entrepreneur. So you can relate to those ambitious entrepreneurs that you work with. Do you feel like entrepreneurs have a different set of needs as far as therapy? Or do you think across the board we all just need to work on these things and they'll make us better people and better entrepreneurs?
I think at the core, we all need validation, we need acceptance, and we want someone to be proud of us, right? So whatever we do, those are the core no matter what level we do. When I say leaders and entrepreneurs, you know, I really think people are that in their own right. You know, it doesn't mean you have to have an LLC somewhere or a team and all that to say I'm a leader. Not necessarily. We're all leading something. What is it at your core? But then there's levels to this, right? There's levels to what you're doing. There's levels to what you're taking on. And that's where we really have to check in that our goal is not getting ahead of where we're at emotionally, our maturity, our functioning. We can't let our goals get too far. In entrepreneurship, sometimes there's this spirit of go, 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 get, win, what's the next thing? And sometimes like, you know what? Today I want to be. This week I just want to be. I want to be grateful. I want to sit in gratitude of what I've accomplished this far because I didn't even expect this, right? And just be grateful for a moment. And whatever that moment is for you, you get to decide that. And I want everyone to decide that. Jay-Z said, I'm not going to let anyone rush my process, right?
Yes.
There's something I keep in my head, like I'm not going to let anyone rush my process. And I laugh when people tell me, they say, you know what, Feach, you should be further along in your business than what you are. And I laugh and I'm thinking, well, who told you that, Jesus? How do you know that I should be I might just be right where I need to be so that I'm building a sustainable business that is in alignment with me. I can build a big old house of cards that's going to fall, right? Yeah.
So it seems like you're doing a lot for powerful professional women. Do you just meet these women at networking events? Are people reaching out and scheduling appointments with you? How does one get to engage with Sharice Josie?
So, I don't market as much as I should in terms of going out, getting leads, reaching out to people and say, hey, here I am. I don't do that. Something I'm working on maybe a little bit, right? And what I'm saying that is because when I put out social media content or my email list or engaging here, I want to make sure I'm being as authentic as I can.
Yeah.
So I want to be careful of the guidance that I get of how do you get leads into your business and how do you keep them. And I want to be receptive to that information. But I also want to make sure that I'm not falling into a transactional relationship with people. I want to be an authentic relationship where I can add value to your life, to your business. I don't want to just focus just on your business, right? I don't. I want to focus on the whole you. I get people come with me with different concerns. Hey, I want to work on my business with this, or I have family. Awesome. But we're going to work on all of you. And I love when clients come to me and they're leaving my office and they said, I don't even know how we got here. I don't even know why I'm crying right now. I thought I had nothing to talk about. Apparently, I have some things to talk about. And it's not me pulling things out, but when you ask these pointed questions that people have never been asked before, that's when we're tapping to a different version of them that they didn't even know existed. Wow. They're like, wow, this is me too. This is you too.
So this Sunday morning, I am positive that there's somebody driving home from church or somebody cleaning their home and thinking, this is me. She's talking about me. I'm the ambitious person who's not taking time for myself. I'm the one who hears that internal voice and doesn't always know how to conjure the courage to follow it. I need to be able to talk to someone. How does that person get to reach out to you or engage with you? Are you all booked up now? Is there still room to engage with you? How does that work?
Yeah, so I am working on building my leadership consulting program for leaders, right? And that's where I'm going to work one-on-one with leaders right now. Eventually, I'll move into a group, but I want to make sure that I'm connecting one-on-one to make sure I'm understanding what the needs are and that I can meet the needs and what are the steps people need to get from point A to point B. And making sure I'm checking my problem-solving stuff, right? That we're staying in the moment, but we're making progress. So I'm booked up for the counseling because I really want to develop this leadership consulting part of it. And this is where I go out to businesses, corporations, agencies, and speak to their leadership team. But it's from a wellness perspective, right? It's like I want you to understand the leaders because leadership and supervising can be the loneliest place ever, right? And so it's going to be from a wellness perspective. But I want to meet with people one-on-one. So definitely reach out to me. I'm Sharice Josie at all social media platforms. I can spell it for you. There's only but one Sharice Josie that I know of on social media. Definitely reach out to me. And if you want to work one-on-one, we can definitely set that up now.
That is incredible. So if you do want to reach out to her, Sharice Josie on Facebook, that's ChareseJosie. Sharice Josie. Feel free to reach out if anything that she has said today applies directly to you, or if you feel like her message is touching you this morning, then please reach out to her on Facebook or any social media at Sharice Josie. Now, it seems popular in the culture today to talk about mental health. It's finally not taboo to speak about, and I feel like everybody is coming out with their very own stories, with their very own narratives that have been following them since high school. But for those of us who have not jumped headfirst into the movement, can you just kind of explain what that means when people say mental health? Does that mean I'm laying on a couch crying to a therapist about my childhood, or is there something broader and simpler to encapsulate what you mean by mental health?
Yeah, good question. People do think that, right, I'm laying on the couch, I have my feet up, my goodness, they're going to try to put me on medication. Mental health is really just incorporating all we are, physical, psychological, our background, anything we're going through, right? And I really be careful with even diagnosing clients as a therapist, right? You're supposed to diagnose. And sometimes I go over that with clients and sometimes I don't. That could be controversial, but I'm not geared toward labels because really we all have something, right? I have issues, you have issues, we all have something, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm not so focused on that, but mental health is saying, okay, where is it that your wellness, what do you want your life to feel like, right? And I tell clients, I say, what do you want to look like? And I say, when I say look, I actually mean feel. And I said, let's put aside if it's realistic. We're not going to worry about that right now. We're also not going to worry about how to get there. When you envision how you want your life to look like, let's get out of the check boxes. Do you envision yourself vacationing 3 times a year, once a year? Do you envision yourself laying on your porch or your hammock and just taking it in? Do you envision yourself being able to pick up your kids from school? What do you envision your life to look like? Right? And then what do we need to do to get you there? Right? And it's not the outcome, right? A porch, I don't even have a porch. Okay, but do you want the feeling like you are on a porch? Let's get to the feeling, right? And let's look at the barriers that are there that we need to create to move away. Either we're going to let it go, either we're going to redefine it, or we're going to reassign it. Right? And so that you can have the type of life that you want. And who wouldn't want that? Why wouldn't you want to dive in? So mental health can seem like, oh my goodness, I'm not crazy. But no, we're just simply looking at what life you want to live and how can I assist you with getting there.
Wow. It's very encouraging to hear you say that you're focusing on the life that your client wants to live rather than immediately jumping to the diagnosis because, diagnoses are not always 100% accurate. And even if they are accurate by textbook, the DSM changes every few years and what they're going to call it. So it is extremely encouraging to hear you taking that approach. People who are listening this morning, what would you like them to know about Sharice Josie? I mean, there's lots of therapists out there. There's lots of people in the consulting field, especially today. There's a new business consulting firm popping up every day. What do you want people to know specifically about Sharice Josie and her approach? What makes you different?
So one of the things I like to focus on, what makes me just different. I call myself the insightful introvert, right? And people don't believe me. There's no way you're an introvert. You're on the radio and you've been all these things. I said I'm an introvert, but what I decided is that me being an introvert has nothing to do with my gift, right? And so my gift is to help people. I'm going to take that back. You don't need help. You just need guidance, right? So my goal is to guide people on what they already know. I just want to assist you with trusting it. Right, and kind of moving out some of the noise. And so I don't know of anyone who really blends leadership and wellness together because we're all trying to make it. We're all trying to do something, right, to take care of ourselves and our family. We're trying to do as much as we can. But then how do we blend the other parts of us, right, our relationships plus with our goals? How do we manage that? And I want to teach people how to do that because it's very important that we keep the core of us strong and strength and that we're nurturing that as we're continuing to explore all these other parts of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, speaking of exploring all the other parts of you, that can be a rough journey. Sometimes we'll tap into memories or feelings that we may have left behind or at least thought that we left way behind. What advice do you give to people who are starting this journey of self-healing and encountering some of these intense emotions and intense memories?
Yeah, that's a good question. I tell clients first, I said, you know what, it's you and I here, and we get to make any rules, and we also get to break them. There's nothing that says anything we talk about that you have to be held to just because you say it. Like, I love when clients come, and I'll ask them why they come, and they say, oh, I'm anxious, I'm depressed. And I said, okay, have you been formally diagnosed with that? And they say, no. I said, okay, so you gave this to yourself? They say, yes. I said, great, so then we can take it away if we want to, right? And they just like, wait a minute, I guess I can, right? I said, yeah, we can take it away. And then we also can just be courageous about and curious about ourselves. We do not have to be stuck to anything that you say. And I told people, listen, first, my memory is horrible. So if I don't write it down and this is not going to be recorded, don't worry about me remembering a lot of these things, right? I'm still focusing on the core of you and building that up versus the things that you say. And the one thing that I want to keep in mind, some clients say, well, I don't want to go in and tell my story. If you have a therapist who is trauma-trained, trauma-informed, which I am, you don't have to tell your story. I saw a client weekly for 8 months. At that 8-month mark is when she told me the full story of why she was coming. Wow. I knew the context, but I didn't know the how or the details. But I really didn't need to know. I need to know how it was affecting her. I need to know what feelings about it that she wasn't dealing with. That's what we focus on for those 8 months. And I think maybe because I never pressed and asked how, she eventually told me the story. And I just sat with her. I appreciated her courage in sharing and in trusting me with that information. But you don't have to go in and tell your story, because honestly, sometimes that can be exhausting. That could be exhausting, telling a story, right? And I remind my clients, you don't have to tell me the entire story. Let's focus on how the reaction of the story is to you.
Wow. And I am positive that you are helping our listeners out this Sunday morning who before this interview were convinced that addressing their mental health means starting off by telling their whole story from the beginning. It's a relief for me to even hear that that is an option, that we can just start with the now rather than when I was 5, my mom was mean. That's
exactly.
I'm sure that's encouraging to folks out there. So once again, if you are listening, please reach out to Sharice Josie to be involved. If you feel like anything she's talking about addresses your spirit, Sharice Josie, that's ChareseJosi. You can find her on Instagram. You can find her on Facebook. Or you can find her at cjcounselingandconsulting.com. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I feel like you've cleared a lot of myths up out there for our listening audience this morning, and you've provided a major value for them. Is there anything you want to leave them with?
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. Definitely would love to connect with listeners outside of this. If you go to my website, I have some ways to engage. I talk about boundaries and communication. My biggest thing is saving our emotional and physical time and energy. So if we can do that, of saying things in short, concise ways. So there's a free checklist there to say, how do I respond to an email back and forth so that I'm not taking up my physical and emotional time. So if you go to cjcounselingandconsulting.com, that checklist is there free. Download that and go through that. Any questions, I would love to connect with you individually.
Black Wall Street Today, brought to you by Hampton Roads Regional Black Chamber of Commerce, Black Brand. Now, if you're out there listening this morning and you know a business owner, you know a restaurant owner or a counselor or a coach or even a tech founder, if you know a black and brown entrepreneur in Hampton Roads, then it is your duty to send them to blackbrand.biz. That's blackbrand.biz. That way, they can be connected with a network full of resources, opportunities, and like-minded individuals who are also on their growth path. Also, if you know an entrepreneur in Hampton Roads, tell them to go to blackbrand.biz so they can sign up for B-Force Accelerator. In B-Force Accelerator, over 12 weeks, we pour $15,000 worth of resources into the black-owned businesses of Hampton Roads. But you can't get it if you don't apply. So you have to go to blackbrand.biz. B-Force Accelerator costs absolutely nothing to apply. So apply today. blackbrand.biz.
Phenomenal. Stay with us online at Black Wall Street Today on Facebook and Black Wall Street Today on Instagram. And then follow us on Twitter as well at BWS Today We look forward to talking again next week. Have a wonderful week. I have said and I will continue to say that the most important priority for the Black community is the Black community, not a particular political party.
Phenomenal. Hey, yo, when I say Black, you say Wall Street. Black Wall Street. When I say Black, you say Wall Street. Black. When I say Black, you say Wall Street.